This is going to be a very interesting episode for multiple reasons, Christian. I think we're both very exhausted right now, right?
I am very exhausted.
But we are in that golden zone where it's nighttime and we're recording, which means we should have more energy in theory, right? You know, we spent the day at the fair, 6 hours at the fair, man, 6 hours at the fair, you know? And that's too much for me.
That is a long time.
That is a long time for me, but it's fine. Christian, you've been working all day. I've been at the fair just having a great time all day, and we're exhausted. And so this is going to be very strange, and that's fine. Feel free to help yourself to some beans as well. The candy bean vending machine to your left.
No, man. Sugar will make me want to take a nap.
Really? That is usually the opposite effect of what should happen with that, but that's fine. Yeah, we're getting into Ouija board horror stories. What a horrible thing to say. It's very hard to say quickly. I feel so weird about this episode, man. And there's actually, at the end of this episode, there is a story that can be a pretty big trigger. So we'll see. We might not make it to that. There's a lot of stories before that, so who knows? But I'm going to mark everything in the actual show notes. Anything that is possibly triggering or unsettling for folks that don't want to hear about that stuff, you can find it there.
Just know it's a game made by whatever company we brought up a million times, and it's not real.
Not the triggering part. The triggering part is very much real, and that's okay. Whether or not the game itself is real, that's up to you guys. We're not here to force our opinions down your throat. We're just here to talk about weird shit, and that's what we do, you know? And we ask one thing of you if you're new to the show, and that is that you listen to it in its entirety. And if you're a fan of what you hear, go ahead and slap a 5-star review on that bad boy. You know what's crazy? When I said months ago that we're getting closer to 200 reviews on Spotify, we were at like 170 something or 180. And when the episode came out, we were at 199. Freaking crazy, dude. And then we hit 200. Well, you're sitting there making gum wrapper noises as usual, Christian. Not cool. Not professional. And if we're anything, it's not professional. So that's fine. Way to go. Good work.
Not what was not professional was starting the recording when I'm just getting organized.
When you're just lounging around.
I didn't even have my headphones on. I was like, I would have done this a long time ago. This is my energy boost.
Oh, yes, of course.
Theoretically. There's no science behind that.
His real energy is when you
rub my large head.
Exactly. Got to bring that gem back. Aren't you happy?
I'm not.
You guys don't need to find us on social media at Freaky Deaky Pod. Quick announcement. We have hot sauce now. We did it, Christian. We made a joke into an actual product. No, you can't buy it yet, but maybe I'll start posting pictures or something like that when this comes out. But it's called Sauce Squatch, and it's great.
That name wasn't taken?
Who cares? Honestly, who cares? If it was, then the show's going to end when we're sued into oblivion.
It'll just be a cease and desist.
Yeah, and if anything, they can't really attack us if we're not selling anything. We just have bottles of hot sauce in the home that have cool labels on them, and that's that. You can find actual merch at thefreakydeaky.com/store. So, Ouija boards, Christian, have you changed your opinion? No.
I have not.
You still think there's absolutely nothing there, just all in your head?
Yes.
Okay, cool, great. Then this episode's going to go fantastic, as is tradition. I felt like I was going to shout someone out, but you know who it was?
Who?
We got an order from the UK today.
Oh, nice. I was listening to an English podcast on the way over today.
Yeah. Well, that is a shock to nobody in your life, Christian, because we know, you know?
This one was about Bigfoot.
Wow. Shocking.
Yeah.
Appreciate, I think it was Andrew. We appreciate you, Andrew.
What part of England are you from? Scott probably knows, but...
Yeah, I do. I'm not going to give the man's address away. I was just...
Well, just tell us a little bit about where you're at and if there's spooky things there.
There it is. There it is. And if you get us a lot more English listeners, we'll fly out there and we'll do a show for you. You like that? You like bringing 6 of your friends along to a very empty venue and watching a couple of weirdos talk about ghosts?
We just go to an English pub.
Well, there you go. We might just meet there. We're figuring it out as we go, just like I'm doing in this episode. Great segue, as usual. I'm going to get into a story before people start tuning out for the second time, because I've already felt it once.
So get your planchette and your board. We're going to make believe, or, as some people say, visit other worlds.
You are now entering the realm of the Freaky Deaky, an unsuspecting stop at the crossroads of fantasy and reality, where the frayed edges of make-believe seep into this cookie-cutter white picket world you've been led to believe is far from extraordinary. What you're about to hear are true stories.
Alleged true stories.
Christian, just... Okay? tales of the strange and inexplicable thought only to exist in film and folklore. Although difficult to accept, we do not know everything about this reality, about time or space, what lies beneath the ocean's depths. And try though we might, the unchanging truth remains. There are some things we legitimately cannot explain logically.
Are we going to speak to demons? Maybe demons do exist. Maybe they do.
Do you find it difficult having to fight yourself on this podcast a lot?
No, because
You're used to it?
some of that is just pure comedic gold, as you might say.
I do. And you're absolutely right. Kind of.
Like science.
Anyway, this first story is called Look in the Shower. Oh yeah, and it's by Lemon in Water. And this starts off like any great story, Christian. You're going to love this. Says, no one will believe this, but I'll share anyway. Classic.
I don't believe it.
That's classic. We already got him. In 7th grade, my friends and I went over to Mary's house, intent on playing with her mom's Ouija board that night.
Her mom's what?
Ouija board.
I feel like this story is in code.
Wow, weird. I hope it's not gross.
We'll
I
see.
feel like it probably is. I feel like you're probably... It's fine. If you're new to the show, we also have a pervert as one of the hosts. Is that what you like? Well, then buckle up. Mary's mom was an extremely spiritual person who believed in energies, witchcraft, stuff like that. Before we used the board, Mary warned us that her mom would be really pissed if she found out that we were playing with it because Ouija boards can attract bad spirits into the home. With full knowledge of this, we decided to proceed anyway. Because, hey, what does my mom know? You know?
That's how it always starts.
That's how it starts. This Ouija board was not like the average Ouija board you had ever seen. Along with the usual characteristics, the alphabet, yes, no, goodbye, there was an entire array of symbols and signs that were all arranged in a circle.
Can I ask a question?
It's a circle. Yes.
Don't play with the Ouija board. It might attract bad spirits.
Yes.
Don't play with the Ouija board in my closet. It might attract bad spirits.
Yeah. There's a couple variations to it, it turns out.
Yeah.
This one's and it's even fancier than most. Why would you have
So
that?
it's a personalized one.
Mhm. Or she isn't into all that stuff, but she knows that it has the potential for great harm. And so she's like, don't touch Ouija boards.
Unless you've been trained.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a Jedi.
Wow. Yeah, exactly like a Jedi, it turns out. Anyway, there was an entire array of symbols and signs that were arranged in a circle. This was some seriously intricate stuff. We started just goofing around, classic, and communicating with random spirits here and there until we finally met one that had us in tears the entire sleepless night. First, we asked the spirit if it was a man or a woman, to which he replied, M-A-N. Then we asked how he was killed, M-U-R-D-E-R.
Very specific.
Very specific. That freaked us out only a little bit, but we were mostly excited. Oh, yeah. All of a sudden, before we even asked another question, the glass goes to the eyeball symbol, then spells out I-N. So eyeball symbol in, and goes to the water symbol. We didn't have a... Yeah, literally reading this was like, it took me like 5 minutes to be like, what? And I was like, oh, I get it. Because I'm kind of dumb, turns out. And that's fine.
Maybe you were just eating some of that funky chocolate.
Yeah, that funky chocolate's the best. Anyway, spells out eyeball symbol in and goes to the water symbol. We didn't have a clue what that meant. It wasn't too scary until the spirit spelled out shower. And my best friend realized that the spirit was trying to get us to look in the shower. We froze.
I thought the spirit was saying I was murdered in the shower, but okay.
I've heard it both ways. We froze. I've never been so scared in my entire life, especially sitting directly in front of the bathroom with the shower curtain all the way closed, faced in my direction. We all screamed and promised on our friendships that we had not moved it ourselves. Very important promise. I felt like I was being watched, and my friends thought so too. It was only 4 of us, and I believe with all my heart that none of them had moved it because we were all too nervous to do anything. I'll never use a Ouija board again because of how crazy and intense that night was. I understand that people say Ouija boards are controlled by your subconscious, but fuck that. I know I felt something in that room with us. I know it was dangerous. He's a maniac. Oh, yeah.
Do you even know what that comes from?
It's a dance thing, right?
Very good. Flash dance.
Oh, I was going to say something different, but I knew it was from a dance thing. It's a great song if you're into that kind of thing.
It's not a great song, but it was back then.
True. But let's not get sidetracked by the matters at hand, Christian.
I don't feel there was anything dangerous but a shower curtain. And unless Stephen King's writing this story, there's nothing behind that shower curtain but shampoo and hair conditioner.
Man, I don't know. Sometimes you got to trust your gut, you know? And especially after a Ouija board tells you to look in the shower.
I still say whoever put the story together or whoever wrote this, to me, it seemed obvious. Murder, water, shower.
Yeah, who wouldn't put those together, Christian? Honestly, murder, water, shower.
Yeah, so they were obviously in the shower in the bathtub and someone murdered them. Another thing is like they're just talking randomly to whatever spirits they talk to as they're going is what the saying was. Do you ever think that like, and this is going to come from my perspective that doesn't believe in demons and these things, just walking around and being called into a like not even real wood in most cases, just some.
Well, can I ask you real quick, what would it take for you to actually start believing in these types of things?
Superior brain capacity.
Yes, of course. I should have thought of that with myself having such things.
Okay, so since I don't believe that there's demons running around contacting us through Ouija boards,
yes.
What if these different entities that we talk to are just in our own head? There are personalities that, you know, people that have multiple personalities. There's a lot of things, and we're not psychologists, so take what we're saying with a grain of salt.
You can't actually prove that, any of you.
But people can have multiple personalities when they have like a break, or those personalities can come through. That means that's in all of us. There's just something in us that's keeping it under control. So what if when we're thinking we're communicating with the Ouija board, it is our subconscious, which we do not communicate with.
Really. And it is like, hello, I'm here.
It's two separate parts of us. You know, our everyday activities are the subconscious. Maybe this just comes through.
Maybe our subconscious is the devil, man. Who knew?
I mean,
this whole time.
There's more proof for that than there is for the actual devil.
Do you really want to? Is that a hill you'd like to die on? Because
I don't think it's something we need to talk about. I think it's very obvious that.
Can we just look at it from a timeline perspective then? Like science is, especially it's like Western world. Outside of this small bubble of history, everyone in the entire world had some kind of religious form, deities or whatever, believed in the other side, believed in the spiritual existence of beings and entities and all this shit. Like we are very small.
I'm not saying there's
Western science is they're just making claims. Like I'm saying the rest of history
I'm sorry,
believes in the spiritual
science
realm.
is not making claims.
Isn't it?
Science is researching, and some things will change as they find more evidence. But anyway, that's a different topic.
That is. And that's on our new show called The Not So Great Debate.
True.
That comes out every, who fucking cares?
We
Tuesday.
got 2 listeners, Scott and I.
There you go. Yeah, that's about it. And my mom, when she's not hiking the world.
Yeah. You know, I'm not saying there's not another side or the other side in some way or another.
Yes.
I think the way we've written about it throughout history is kind of, it sounds like humans are writing something that they don't understand. So they make comparisons or make it a little bit like.
Wait, are we still talking about science?
Whatever, man. It's not. You can't have science in Ouija boards because Ouija boards, there's no science involved. Maybe psychology.
They need to be married.
Maybe it's psychology, but that is not science.
That's the poor man's science.
It's just
according to scientists, but that's fine.
I mean, you can't. It's hard to replicate things with humans because we're very different in a lot of ways.
Wow. We're just working it out.
Maybe. No. Let's move on to Ouija boards. We could argue about that forever, and we probably will.
Well, we have. Yes.
Oh, did I tell you I don't believe in Ouija boards?
I believe you have. Yes.
Okay.
I believe you did. Having all those symbols isn't cool either. And why was the ghost using emojis? And they're like, this is going to save time. It's an eyeball.
Because I think emojis are an ancient form of communication. Our emojis are
hieroglyphics. Hello. Yeah.
And when we think hieroglyphics, with Egypt, there were other places with hieroglyphics before
Very
Egypt,
true.
After Egypt, in different parts of the world.
During Egypt, turns out. Yeah.
We're a species that thrives on symbology.
Okay, we're going to get into the next story. This is called, and you remember that shadow person in Vegas, that 3 nights thing or whatever, haunted my apartment?
Yeah.
When I looked into that, it was like the Zozo demon led to Azazel. This next story is called Azazel. So Azazel's a very busy demon, turns out.
I'm going to be impressed if these kids could actually spell out Azazel with their minds.
Oh, with their minds, no less. And it's by John Apollon. Probably like 11 or 12 years ago, a neighbor and myself started getting into that Ouija board stuff to find answers and whatnot. Classic move. When we first used it, it wouldn't give a name right away. Then later on, it did spell out Azazel. That's not even the tip of the iceberg either. We kept playing it, kind of trash talking, and it started moving more aggressively and crazily. I remember I asked what the death of me would be. Stupid move. Even if it is all in your head, you don't want to ask that question.
Actually, I believe there's the potential that we could know how we're going to die.
Wow. Beautiful.
It's just deep within us.
Okay.
Let's go and let's see if my theory plays out in this.
Don't want to break your heart, but here we go. No, I remember I asked what the death of me would be. It kind of looked like it was trying to spell woman or women, and classic stuff.
I get it, man.
Classic.
I get it.
We've been there, you know? I kind of laughed, but shortly after, felt an extremely sick feeling to my stomach, walked upstairs and sat in...
On the toilet?
Yeah. Oh, diarrhea. No. Walked upstairs and sat in the neighbor's living room in the dark. I have no idea why. It took the other two friends to come check on me. Then the list just goes on of unusual bad luck and many other situations from playing with it a lot. The wildest thing that happened from this was my neighbor put cameras everywhere in his house. If something moved past, it would alert his phone. Now at 3:30 a.m. or so, something went past the camera. Two yellow eyes moving towards his bed and had a human-like stature to it, and then kind of manifested into this hooded thing. Apparently, Azazel is the yellow-eyed demon, according to the lore, but I will stop actually right there and say, I'm pretty sure that's just supernatural lore.
From your show?
From the show Supernatural, yeah. Because the yellow-eyed demon, I'm pretty sure it turns out to be Azazel or something like that.
But maybe they took that from lore.
I've looked into I've never seen anything say anything about yellow eyes with Azazel. But I could be wrong. I don't know. It's not like I studied this thing like in depth forever. I looked into it for like a month. And I was like, okay, I think I have enough information to satisfy my curiosity.
Do you think Azazel answers to its name written in English? Or whatever we're using currently, as opposed to whatever was used when Azazel was actually a thing back in...
The Book of Enoch, maybe, I think is probably where that originates.
Yeah, but I wonder what it sounds like in the original translation.
Yeah, you probably don't want to hear that, though. It's probably a lot of throaty, probably very throaty.
Well, I would think maybe there's less vowels or no vowels back wherever.
Yeah.
So it would sound a lot different than the way we're saying it, which kind of takes away some from the punch if we can't say the name correctly.
Well, we're not trying to summon it into the studio with us, Christian, so there is that. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Just curious. I mean, they say this thing spelled Azazel. Impressive that they knew how to spell Azazel, since they were the ones subconsciously spelling it.
I was like, well, why wouldn't they not?
But also, maybe it also shows maybe they did pay attention in
Azazel school, no doubt.
Whatever school they talk about Azazel in. I never heard about Azazel when I went to church.
Well, they don't really talk about Azazel at church. That's missing the point of church. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. Sure. It's there's a lot of speculation to the whole Azazel thing, but
I get it.
Fascinating story. But like I said, I'm pretty sure just even the ending, like that story sure had some theatrics about it where you're like, is this true? You know?
I mean, it's fascinating because both stories say that like other weird things happen. And sure, we don't want to go into every little detail.
Yeah.
Especially because most of those other things, I stubbed my toe on the chair walking downstairs, and then my mom put me or took away my electronics for a month because I got bad grades.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend dumped me. Obviously, this is the first sign that this Ouija board was correct, that women would be the death of me.
That is a series of words put into a paragraph of sorts that get your point across.
Does it, though? To some people that listen to us.
People, yeah. I just doubt the story's accuracy based on the end part there.
The yellow eyes?
Yeah, and him being known for having yellow eyes. I'm like, it feels like you just watched Supernatural for like 10 years and we're like, this is lore.
I always felt like most demons had red eyes.
It seems fitting, but yellow is surprisingly creepy. Turns out, yellow and red.
Well, I mean, you do see in nature yellow eyes a lot on animals based on how the light hits them. So
very true. Figuring it out once again. Anyway, Let's get in this next one called Beckoned by the Board. And it's by Matthew Bowen. I don't know Matt Bowen. Is that you? No.
A lot of B's in this one.
Boards and Bowens and being beckoned.
Yes.
Says, after moving from our haunted rental house in 1985, definitely not the Matt Bowen, I know, if anyone was wondering, we bought a cottage in Sound Beach, New York. The house had been a summer cottage with no basement, so when they added oil heat, they built a 6-foot by 12-foot attached room accessible only from the outside with the oil burner, hot tank, and washer and dryer. I added 2 freestanding shelving units since the house had only one closet. We kept tools, games, and other things that we seldom used on the shelves. One game that was on the shelf was a Ouija board in its box.
Because it was a game.
With the other games, right?
Yep.
Wink, wink. Anyway, we had bought it at a garage sale and had tried to use it a couple times in our previous house with no effect at all. Weird that their previous house was haunted and the Ouija board's like, nah, I'm good.
I wonder what their ages were.
97 and 62.
Because you know, when children become teenagers, they're closer to Satan.
Yes, of course.
So they get a little kooky.
That does happen.
Maybe their power to summon demons is at its apex from 14 to 25.
Well, it sounds like you've got it sorted.
As usual.
As usual, yes, of course. So one game was the Ouija board in its box. We had bought it at a garage sale and had tried to use it a couple times, no effect at all. So one evening around 10 p.m., we heard a very loud boom from the laundry boiler room. It was so loud that at first I thought maybe the oil burner had exploded. But it also sounded like someone had kicked the door in. Our 3 dogs were going crazy, agitated and barking from the sudden loud noise. As I put my shoes on, my wife said to just stay inside and call the police, but of course, I just had to go check.
That's why men don't live as long as women.
Fuck that. I'd be staying inside and be like, hell yeah, I ain't going out there.
That's how you lose your man card, man.
I lost that the moment I got married, Christian. That's what happens. Okay? I submit. I say, okay, whatever you want to do. We're going to go to the fair for 6 hours? Great. Can't wait. And here we are.
The fair for 6 hours with the toddler. Totally different.
Yes, way different. Turns out even more exhausting by tenfold.
I could have told you that, man.
Yeah, but you didn't. You let me go in there just blind.
This is the way, this is what you'll understand as you get older and become a grandparent and you go to your grandparenting class.
Christian, please, I'm depressed enough. I don't want to think about that.
Yeah, you go to your grandparenting class and they tell you, don't help the young parents or the new parents. They got to learn this on their own, just like their child.
Yes. I worry if anyone remembers any of the story that we've been telling.
Where a Ouija board, the boiler room,
it was so
had a loud bang.
Yes.
The
And
dogs
they
are
thought-
going crazy.
And the person thought maybe it exploded.
Yeah.
And we're back.
I don't remember any Ouija board being used yet. I don't know if that's important.
Turns out it might not be. Inside, call the police, but of course I just had to go check. I grabbed a large butcher knife, which in hindsight was probably stupid if an intruder had a gun, but I felt it might be good to frighten a thief. Anyway, I grabbed the room key since we kept that door locked unless we were doing laundry and went out to the kitchen door while my wife was pleading with me to just wait and call the police. I closed the back gate behind me and approached the laundry room around the back of the house. I could see the door was closed. The door is closed, I yelled to my wife. So it hadn't been kicked in. I approached and quietly tried the doorknob and it was locked. Had the boiler exploded? The previous owner was a minister who let homeless men sleep in that room months before. Had someone come back?
Seems fishy.
Keep going. What are you insinuating?
I don't need. Wow. Moving on.
Wow, moving on. Anyway, who let homeless men sleep in that room months before? Had someone come back for a warm place to sleep? Was there someone inside ready to fight me if confronted? Probably not, but what could it be?
He was just looking for his priest. That was his warm place.
Wow. Anyway, I put the key in the lock and slowly turned the knob, and then I flung the door open and jumped back, afraid of what I would see. The room looked untouched except for one thing.
The Ouija board?
There on the floor was the Ouija board, right side up, with the planchette in the center, as if it was ready to be used. The empty box was nearby. Apparently the game, but nothing else, had fallen from the 3rd shelf. The board had fallen just right, and the planchette had landed just right also, as if to say, bring me in the house and use me. Yeah, definitely. Okay. So of course I did. Just kidding. I yelled to my wife that everything was okay, that it was just a box that had fallen off the shelf. I picked up the Ouija board and box, brought it out to the trash near the curb, broke it in half so it couldn't be used again.
This is not how you do it.
Exactly, yeah. Anxiety's peaking, friend. You've done it wrong. But what the hell do we know, honestly? And threw it in the can. As I went back inside and told my wife it was just the Ouija board that had fallen, she looked at me in disbelief and said that that couldn't just be a Ouija board that made that loud of a noise. I agreed, but then just shrugged and said that it's gone now. Having just recently moved from our haunted Port Jefferson house, I was afraid something might have followed us. Thankfully, nothing paranormal, if it was paranormal, happened in that house again after the Ouija board incident. That's weird.
You know
that
why
was like the last Hail Mary play from the Ouija board, like, use me, bitch. And I was like, no, broke in the trash.
I'm sure it's not surprising, but I have a different take on this.
What? That almost never happens, Christian.
What if it was the spirits or the entity or the demon were just trying to make a connection with the humans inside the house?
Like, please, I'm so lonely.
Like they pulled it down and were trying to communicate, and the bang was like, these humans don't understand what we're talking to them.
Wow.
They can't hear us.
Like, we must be louder. Quick, throw ourselves off the third shelf.
No, it was that they're the ones that the Ouija board was on the floor because they were using it. The bang was when they realized that they could not make contact with the humans, like trauma. We need a sacrifice, and the humans weren't hearing it.
Okay.
Give me one of those dogs, and they didn't hear it. So they slammed something and left, never to return.
Okay, okie dokie.
Also, they obviously returned because the person disrespected the Ouija board by breaking it in half and not giving it its proper funeral that we've spoken about.
We have many a time, yes.
And then for those of you guys that don't know, Scott, tell them a couple ways to dispose of a Ouija board properly.
Flowing water.
And it has to be real water, not what people say. I need to make water. No, take it to a river.
What?
Take it to a river.
You think people got fake water lying around, Christian? I don't understand.
No, I said make water.
How do you make water?
You're a guy, you've been around forever. You go out into the forest if you're not near a restroom and you make water.
Is that a term that people have used? That this is literally the first time in my entire life I've heard anyone being like, yo, I gotta take a piss to be called make water. You must drink a lot of water if you think you're making it. Okay.
I do drink a lot of water, but
okay.
The other way, is there another way? Do they burn it?
No, I don't believe that is the case. The only way, according to our boy Tristan, is to dispense of it over moving water. And I say only with the confidence of someone that really shouldn't say only that way.
I was going to say.
But yeah, I felt in the moment, I was like, I'm super confident. This is the only way. You morons. I know what I'm talking about. I'm sitting in a garage, okay? I have a note on my phone about ghost stories and Ouija boards. I am the professional here.
I guess so.
Let's not forget, okay?
You are on a podcast.
I am.
You must be right.
This is a podcast that has 200 reviews on Spotify. Guess who's right? It's me the whole time, turns out.
Technically, though, I'm on the podcast with you, so I'd be right, too, which really explains why the world is a confusing place. If
Very true.
Two people like us can be right.
If we're the voice of reason for this planet, then we got bigger issues, But that's fine. And honestly, if my ego ever gets that large, somebody please check it. You know what I mean? I'm really not that guy.
I am.
But I play one on a podcast sometimes. Anyway, let's get into this next story before 7 more people leave. It's called A Bad Childhood Made Worse. Oopsie, this one might actually have some triggerish things that...
I mean, it's not...
Some people... It's not great, but it's not terrible. Yeah. I'm so... At this point in my life, I think anything triggers anyone. So I'm like, please, if I mention this, I'm so sorry.
It's not as triggering, whatever the story is going to be, as listening to Creed.
Okay, but they take us higher, Christian. Anyway, this is by Nora Martin. My mother gets interested in card reading and spiritualism just before she has a nervous breakdown with schizophrenia symptoms.
That is actually more common than people would think.
Okie dokie. And after this story, we'll get into a little bit
definitely.
Of that. One day, I was walking through the kitchen to get something or go to the bathroom. She was with her friends doing Ouija board with a glass. Doing Ouija board. Like it's a sport or something like that.
It's a game.
Oh, yeah, well, I guess that makes sense. Then wouldn't you be playing Ouija board?
Not if you're by yourself.
You're just doing it. You like that Ouija board? They asked me to join the game. When I put the finger on the glass, it flew across the table, smashed into the wall. I was 10 years old. My life was already a misery with 2 narcissistic parents that had the brain age of a teenager.
Dude.
It's a great story so far, you're right. Nothing good came after that experience. My teen years were very dark and sad. Hey, preaching. And sometimes I feel something looking at me from the darkest corner of my room if I stay up too late at night. I have seen things in a place where I used to live. I was questioning my mental health because I cannot explain what I have seen. If you want to know, Ouija Board will let you know for good, but be prepared to see things in a very different way.
What was it that his mom, he said it, or this person said their mom had?
Schizophrenia.
Okay.
You're thinking it's genetic, right?
I mean, it does.
Does it show that? No, I guess it would. Sometimes it does show that.
It does tend to be a genetic thing that is passed down.
I think I had a buddy that said he kind of developed when he was like 7.
I mean, a lot of these things just travel in the genes to the next generation. That's how we're built. That's kind of how it's going to work. But it is fascinating that the way, and this is what made me think about it. The parents was kind of like schizophrenic and searching,
and narcissistic, which is a bad.
But that's, I mean, is she diagnosed as narcissistic, or is this kid?
Is that a thing that gets diagnosed?
I think so.
Wow.
I mean, if you
I'd be hella insulted if I was talking to someone and they're like, my diagnosis for you is you're a narcissist. I'm like, what? How dare you? I'm better than you. Get out. No.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not. But either way, when you're struggling with these kind of issues, you do search. And sometimes some people search for Christianity or Islam or
anything,
Buddhism. And some people search for things that a lot of those religions, especially Christianity, would call darker.
Yes, of course.
So
the devil's work.
And, I'm not a doctor in any way, but schizophrenia can make some of these things seem a lot more sinister.
Yes, of course.
Including having a person sitting in the corner of your room late at night watching you.
Yeah. Again, that's an instinct thing, though, to some extent, I feel, because if it doesn't happen all the time and then randomly, like just at certain, you stayed up too late and now suddenly the corner of the room is watching you.
And I'm not saying that these things can never happen. I'm just saying that a lot of times when they do happen, it's an issue we're having with ourselves.
Yeah.
It could be something. I mean, it could be something you ate that is not something you should eat.
That might be the bottom of a barrel. I think that might be the absolute last one.
These things happen. I mean, you talk to people.
We've all seen House, all right? Weird shit is out there, guys.
So, I mean, this stuff happens. You can't explain away everything with that kind of stuff because our science is not that good yet.
Dude,
that we can
the balls you gotta have to say our science is just not that
because it's an evolving thing. We don't have the technology to see the other realms or the other world or the other side.
I know, but that's what I'm saying is like that's you guys. You guys are like, we don't have that capability, but people that have experienced it and actually live this stuff, they're like, yeah, we don't need your approval on whether this is real or not. We've seen it.
Because it's an experience.
Exactly.
The question is, where is this experience coming from? And if we ever get an answer for that, we may not have a podcast. That's the whole point of our podcast, is questioning these things.
Yeah, but the answers would be nice for our, the OG listeners out there.
I keep telling you, there's some things we never get answers to.
Damn it, Christian.
We're too busy sometimes looking for answers to certain questions that we don't see how the universe provides us some of these answers.
Forest for the trees and whatnot. Yeah. Okay. I guess there's that, guys. Oh, actually, what I wanted to say at the end of that story is that this is kind of, this will lead into something and we'll get people's opinions on it. And at the end of the day, if I want to release it or record it, I'm going to do that. But I came across a story a while back about this nurse. She dealt with like psychiatric patients, and this one had schizophrenia or whatever. And she said it was a very severe case of schizophrenia. But one day when she was in his room, she heard the voices as well. There were the things that they were saying to him and his reaction to them. And they were dark and demented and sinister. Like, you need to murder people. You need to get out there and stab this woman. But the nurse heard the voices. And so when I read that story, I get like full body chills. I'm like, wait, what? And I started looking into this. And there's apparently a couple of really good doctors and books out there that believed that schizophrenics in general, not only were they not, crazy people, but they actually had a connection to the next dimension or realm or whatever that we normal folks do not. So if anything, they're better than we are because they can communicate with different dimensions. There's like whole books on this shit.
Okay, so this is maybe more evidence that there's certain answers we are not able to handle, and that's why we don't get them.
It's possible, but that's what I'm saying is that like it took me down a rabbit hole of looking into this shit. And there's a lot of people that are relatives to schizophrenics or have spouses that are schizophrenic where paranormal shit happens around them where they're like, it's really weird when their schizophrenia is like more, you know, a little elevated. Weird shit starts happening, things flying around the room, like poltergeist activity. And so I wanted to do an episode on the spiritual or paranormal side of schizophrenia, but I don't want to like step over any lines of people that might be listeners that maybe they have it or they know like a really close person that they absolutely love has it and it makes them uncomfortable. Like this is a curious thing for me. And so I'm putting it out there. If you guys would be interested in hearing something like that, just let us know because it's weird.
It'd be a good episode.
It'd be unique. Like I want to do stuff that people aren't touching on. And I feel like this is something that not a lot of people have even considered. I don't know.
I think a lot of people have.
Do you think so?
Yeah. I should
also say I don't talk to a lot of people, so maybe I'm just tapping into a hive mind or some shit.
Yeah, I'm more of the person that talks to a lot of people, not just in my current job, but I always have.
Yeah, you definitely are that person.
And I think there's a lot of things we can talk about. First off, here though, since we're talking about schizophrenia,
yes,
schizophrenia is schizophrenia. If a couple people have different experiences with it, we can talk about those experiences, but most of this is just, you know, people suffering through something.
It really do be like that, yeah.
So that's a legitimate thing, and there's plenty of people out there working hard to try to help people going through it. And if there's some paranormal experiences, it would probably be a small amount, just like anything paranormal. We act like, especially when we're talking about it on a podcast, we act like the stuff's always happening, but there's billions of people in this world, and most of them aren't experiencing
most of them aren't, but it could, with billions of people, it could always be happening too.
But and we can go back to that one thing we said many moons ago on an episode. The odds, there's a human brain could just form in space out of the universe.
Christian, that's enough of that, man. That is absolute
anything could happen.
Shit. It is absolute.
The odds
that can happen, but all powerful God cannot. Is that okay?
I'm
the
saying,
human brain in the universe.
No, I'm just saying that random things or seemingly random things can happen. You know, everybody should look into stuff. Random things can happen.
But it's not random if it happens to a lot of people and it's the same MO for everything.
But it's hard to judge what a lot of people is. When you're talking billions and you're only talking thousands, even 10,000 people, maybe even 1 million, that's not a big number compared to 1 billion.
Who's to say, really?
A lot of mathematicians.
It's up for debate, if anything.
How is that up for debate?
What, numbers?
Billions compared to like 10,000, that's like such a small number.
You say that, but then that doesn't, just because it's a small number doesn't make it not valid. Like
I'm saying that most people do not experience these things.
But I think if you look closer, the real truth is most people don't talk about these things because there's a stigma attached to it.
I disagree.
People experience shit all the time. They're like, I have no idea what the fuck just happened, but I can't tell anyone because they'll think I'm fucking nuts.
And the majority of those times, it's nothing.
Oh my God.
But there are those times, and certain people probably can experience things differently, where we, instead of grasping onto this grand theory of solving everything, we almost need to break it down to something simpler. Why does someone like you see shadow people and someone like me doesn't? There's got to be something within us or something about us if that's the case. Is it a supernatural thing, or is it a scientific biological trait?
Well,
I don't know.
We can rule that out for sure.
Or a combination of the two. Like we've said before, maybe you can see, maybe I have a filter somewhere within me.
You got a dusty pineal gland, it turns out.
Could be. No. You know, I mean,
dust that bad boy off, Christian.
I'm Generation X. I might have gotten the pineal gland knocked out of me back in the day. Who knows?
Yeah. Did I call it a pinwheel gland?
It was a weird word, but
yeah,
I think everybody knew what you were saying.
Thanks, everybody. Anyway, yeah, I don't know.
Let us know if you want the other episode Scott was mentioning.
Yeah, if you guys would be down for that. If not, if enough people that listen to this show comment and be like, please don't do that, that sounds like a horrible idea, then I'll just do it for people to subscribe in the future. I'm going to do it. It's a fascinating topic to me. But if it's not, if you don't want to hear that type of stuff, then whenever Christian and I come out with extra stuff, you don't have to listen to it, all right? It's going to be fine. We will survive, maybe.
We'll be like Gloria Gaynor.
I was going to say just that, Christian. You beat me to it. Anyway, getting into this next story called Gary Has 7 Heads. And it's by Jeanette Spencer.
7 seems like a biblical number, so let's listen to what this is.
That's usually the idea with the story is people listen to what this is, but it's just like you to mansplain it to everyone. Just
no,
in case.
7 is a special number. Let's see why they. Is this your title?
Yes, I title every story because people don't usually title their personal experiences. This one is called.
No, I mean 7.
Such a weird thing.
7 has a lot of meaning.
It does. I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Especially if you get 3 of them in Vegas.
Okay. Talking big money now.
No whammy.
Okay. When I was 17, I participated in a Ouija board session with 7 or 8 other people. We used a glass and cut up pieces of paper with the alphabet written on them, along with the words yes, no. We didn't have the word for goodbye. We didn't know we were supposed to. We contacted a spirit, and it spelled out the name Lucifer without the R, or Lucif, I guess. Then the glass stopped moving. It said, Gary, beware. Gary, beware. Gary has 7 heads. This guy Gary, whom we had only met that day, fell on the floor hysterical. Apparently he had 7 carbuncles around the middle of his torso from front to back, which everyone was unaware of.
What's a carbuncle?
I was going to ask you that exact same thing. We need a Jamie in here, damn it. Jamie, carbuncle, stat. I'd be so mean to a producer if they're in the studio with us, and I'd feel so bad about it.
Would you though?
I'd pay him so much more. I'd be like, here, have more money. I apologize. I was at the fair for 6 hours. What is it? Christian, it's eating me alive, damn it. Pull it out of your head right now. Use that superior brain capacity.
Okay. Superior brain capacity. In the Bible, the word carbuncle appears in Isaiah 54:12, Ezekiel 28:13.
Okay.
Also in Exodus in 2 spots.
Okay.
It can refer to a precious stone that is second only to the diamond in terms of hardness and value. That doesn't really fit here.
That doesn't, super vague and turns out not helpful at all. Thanks, God. No. I'm glad people don't have to hear the breaks, you know?
Okay. Okay. Can you say that sentence again?
Oh, goodness gracious. It's apparently had 7 carbuncles around the middle of his torso from front to back, which everyone was unaware of.
A carbuncle is a cluster of boils that form a connected area of infection under the skin.
Ugh.
Boils, which are furuncles, usually start as reddish or purplish tender bumps.
Christian, I didn't give a trigger warning before this.
Where are the carbuncles located? They can develop anywhere, but they are most common on the back and the nape of the neck.
Well, then this is uncommon.
And uncomfortable.
Wow, it took us so long to figure out what they are. But I'm glad we at least, because I was thinking like tiny skulls or something. I don't get the 7 heads. Oh, I guess I get why it would be called heads now. Wow. Okay. See how long it takes for things to click with me sometimes?
I would have just gone biblical and said boils.
Yeah. The head of like a pimple. Wow. Wow.
A boil is nothing like a pimple. Let's move on. This is gross.
Yeah. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying like heads where you get, you know what, guys? We're going to go ahead and carry on our wayward son out of this conversation and back to Gary with his 7 carbuncles. Gary said, "Don't hassle me, devil," 3 times disrespectfully. Don't hassle me, devil.
Why is it that everybody talks so disrespectfully to the devil?
Wow, here we go. When we decided to end the session, we asked if it would leave and never come back, and it spelled yes. We then asked if it was telling the truth, and it spelled no. We repeated the same questions for 30 minutes, and we got the same answer each time. No, it was not telling the truth, that it would go away and never come back. So we decided to end it by throwing all the pieces of paper away. Haha, gotcha, devil. Get out of that one. We never ended it properly or safely. Did it go? Or has it stayed with all of us who took part for the last 50 years?
50 years, damn.
I don't know, this person old as shit sitting on the internet typing out a story about Gary and his carbuncles, 95 years old. Like, so anyway, the devil was at the board.
This person was back before they made Ouija boards.
Well, that's why they had paper.
Yeah, they couldn't buy them at Toys R Us back then.
Damn it, Hasbro, where are you? Kind of spooky, though, no?
What's really spooky...
So it took us 15 minutes to figure out what carbuncles were?
No, that's a weird word. It doesn't surprise me. was the words that the Carbuncle boy said.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I'm like,
That is such
What
a
kind-
weird response. Is this a homeless man that you took home? They said they only met him that day.
it's like, why wouldn't it be weird? I think to be doing something like a Ouija board or any like typical kid stuff, like, and then all of a sudden one kid, something happens and he starts speaking like
Losing
that.
his mind. Yeah.
Well, just the way he was being disrespectful to Satan. I'm like, first off, why
Yeah.
the hell?
What a weird sentence to say, too.
Are you? This is also an example of why humans struggle on this plane of existence, because this person thought Lucifer, the Lord of all demons, came to their little paper-made Ouija
Now,
board to
that's
speak directly.
disrespectful.
Yeah. Also,
I don't know, man.
like, when you're in charge of all the other demons or angels, if you're God,
Yeah.
do you have time for little things like a paper Ouija board? No. Let's be realistic. We like to think we're important enough that Lucifer would just like look at us and say, hey, Christian, I kind of like your style. I'm going to take you to hell.
Kind of weird that angels also have free will, right?
Do they?
Isn't that what that means? The fact that Lucifer was like
That's
the
what
best, then he fell and he's like the devil now. Like,
I mean,
that's free will, dude. Like,
I mean,
that's strange.
That kind of doesn't make sense to me either, but whatever, man.
That's
Okay.
fine, man.
If you're important enough that Lucifer
Lucif.
came,
We're making it classy and sexy.
yeah, came to your paper. Oh, I get it, man. You're important.
You are important, turns out.
But did you die? Obviously not, because you're writing
Obviously
about
not.
it 50 years later.
I know. And like, how can you tell me how the term "don't hassle me, devil" is disrespectful?
I mean,
It's pretty much just be like, hey, why are you doing that to me? Like, hey, don't be mean, Satan.
I've seen plenty of Exorcist movie. I've never seen anybody talk to
Do
nice.
not hassle me, devil. Like,
Yeah.
spritz
I
in
mean-
holy water or Sprite or whatever you do.
Yeah, like when what's her name? Was it Reagan from The Exorcist started doing her stuff? None of them priests ever said, "Don't hassle me, demon."
Devil, but yeah.
Yeah, devil, whatever.
Whatever, bro.
They use a little bit stronger language.
They do, yeah. And we did give trigger warnings at the beginning of this episode. So
You didn't know they were trigger warnings for Scott's inability to speak.
that it happens from time to time. And let me tell you, did I tell you I spent 6 hours at the fair, Christian?
You might have mentioned it.
Did I tell you I spent 6 to 10 minutes with the vape pen, Christian? It's going to be a weird night. I wish we could dive more into that free will thing, Christian, but we can't because it's such a fun argument.
Well,
And I could literally do it for like 3 hours straight,
Well,
and you could do the same.
yeah, especially
So,
because I'm like on the verge of like
Christianity, no doubt.
not believing in free will. So it would be
Simulation style? Like, are you going simulation or are you
No.
going, oh man, that would be such a fun thing too?
no, it's just some
fine.
some things I've
Hey,
come across.
rob our listeners of all the entertainment, Christian, by all means.
It's not. I mean, they'll tune in for that episode.
They will indeed. They will indeed. Anyway, to close this out, this next story and final story of the episode is called A Message for Bianca. And it's by Ariana Magdalena
Mick Jagger.
Eversole.
Mick Jagger, I think, used to be married to a Bianca, or does he have a daughter? I don't know, man. Moving
I
on.
used to have an interesting manager at McDonald's named Bianca.
That would be interesting to have a manager at McDonald's.
She was terrifying, Christian, and I don't want to relive it.
I mean,
Anyway,
Biancas
okay.
are very
I guess we're going to
competent.
relive it. They're incompetent?
They're very competent,
Oh, confident. Okay.
as the
Okay.
stereotype that I just made up goes.
Hey, there you go. Hey, we're just making shit up as we go. Who cares, right? Anyway, this message for Bianca. Let's get into it. It says, it wasn't me, but this happened to my cousins. Because they didn't think the Ouija board was creepy enough, one afternoon they took the board to a small abandoned warehouse. They were 3 teenagers, 1 friend, plus my cousins, Tim, and his sister, Bianca. They pulled out the Ouija board and started asking questions. I don't know what they asked. All right, are you taking a guess?
Do you think Tim asked why he has such a boring name and Bianca has such an exotic name?
Yeah, if anything, he should have just started going by Moth, right?
I don't get it.
His name's Timothy. Why is his nickname Tim and not Moth?
Or even better,
Or Mothy.
Mott.
Or Mothy. Or Timo. There's so many ways we could take this. I'm going to stop right there. Anyway, that's a meme somewhere. And whenever I hear the word Mothman, I think his actual name is Timothman. And that's my cross to bear. But
That is a pretty heavy cross to bear.
That's just a fleeting thought that goes through my mind when they're like, hey, the Mothman episode was great. I'm like, the Timothman episode? The Timothian. It's fine. Guys, can I close this out? Damn, you guys are always distracting me. Anyway, they pulled out a Ouija board and started asking questions. I don't know what they asked, but to their surprise, the pointer piece started moving around quite strongly. But as skeptical as any cliched character in a horror movie, the boys laughed it off and said, "Come on, which one of you dumbasses is moving it?" Everyone let go of the pointer piece, and it still kept moving. You think that's the scary part? Oh no. The creepiest and scariest part is what happened after Bianca started asking, "Who is it? Who is there? Who's moving this thing?" The entire party says they experienced the same thing. A demonic voice emerging out of nowhere and repeating, "Bianca, Bianca, fuck you." Great demonic voice, right?
Sounds like Arnold.
Yeah, get to the chopper, Bianca. Fuck you too. No. Wow, that fell apart at the end. It's fine. They all watched in terror as the pointer flew off the Ouija board by itself. That plus the voice continuing to chant, "I'll kill you." Wow, it just keeps changing. Next is gonna be that Borat. I wish I would have done Borat last time, but it's fine. Was enough to send the two cocky teenage boys and Bianca running. That day, they came back telling me this story, visibly shaken. They claimed that they've never felt more terrified and that they made sure no one was at the location before playing with the board. I remember Tim's face getting pale as Bianca described the incident. One thing's for sure, they never played with that Ouija board again. Wow, so what do you think of Arnold Schwarzenegger? Wow, that was close at the end there. Oopsie. What do you think of that demon guy? The devil or whatever?
I'm not impressed.
Would you shit yourself if you heard a demon voice coming out of nothingness, the air, after you're playing with a Ouija board?
I'd probably look for, like, especially in this day and age.
You're such a fucking Velma, dude.
And
it's
like
it's a bummer.
A speaker. A Bluetooth speaker.
Exactly. You're a Velma. You gotta, we got a Jinkies. We gotta go investigate. Can't just be like, "Oh shit, it's a demon." No, that's too much for you, Christian. That's fine. Hey, every gang needs a Velma. You know what I mean?
Oh no, it's let's take off his mask. It's Mr. Moth.
Mothie. Timothman.
Here we go again.
I need to stop at this point. Yeah. I knew it was gonna be weird. Sorry, everyone. Sorry for folks that aren't into the strange episodes. This happens sometimes when I'm very exhausted and the show must go on.
Can you sing that like?
Yeah, I can. I won't, but I could definitely pull it off, no doubt. Yeah, I don't know, man. What do you think of that last story?
That last story was one of my least favorite.
Because the demon talked, and that means demons might be real.
It's also a secondhand story, so it's not as good as maybe demons do exist. Maybe. Do you think like all those in the spiritual realm are like, dude, we went down the street to check out the new demons that moved into the neighborhood? What if they thought of us as demons?
Well, they think of us as much worse, but that's fine.
I mean, we do worse things than I ever hear of any demons doing.
Well, Christian, if you understood that we don't wrestle with flesh and blood, but powers and principalities, then you'd know that we're all battling this thing together. And the demons might actually be more responsible than you'd even give them credit for.
Oh, they're like, the demons compared to humans are probably amateurs.
Okay.
Humans can be pretty evil.
Humans can indeed be pretty evil, turns out.
And Ouija boards are not, in my opinion. This did not change my opinion. I apologize to everybody. I tried to believe. I really did.
He really did. I saw he closed his eyes and squinted for a moment.
There was like a bead of sweat.
There was. I thought it was a tear. I was like,
hard.
we got him. But then you're like, then you wiped it. I was like, no, it's definitely sweat.
My heart rate went up like a little bit.
Yeah, it was at least 2-3 beats per minute, no doubt.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I mean, who's shocked by any of this? Folks.
I'm sitting at 71 right now.
Ooh, well, hot damn. Anyway, out there, people, please settle down. Hey, what do you think of Ouija boards? Has anyone, let me ask you this. If you've been listening for a long time, and you clearly either believe in them or you don't. And I can hear David right now typing away on his keyboard being like, I don't believe in them. I'm with Christian. And hey, more power to you. Shout out to your squad. Christian, you got the boys. You got your boys.
In this
I had
topic,
such a weird
we are
visual,
correct.
Such a weird visual in my head when I said that, but it's fine. Has anyone listening to the show that was skeptical of Ouija boards Have you changed your opinion at all? Or on the other hand, if you believed in them, do you now, after hearing a bunch of stories, do you think maybe they're made up and it's all horse shit? I want to hear if anyone has been listening to the show for a long time, if their opinion has changed on things across the way as we cover them, or if they've all just stayed in their own lane. And on top of that, one final thing, I want to hear from people that don't actually believe in any of this shit. Because you have people that comment and say that they like almost every topic where they're like, yeah, I'm a Christian on this one. So my question to those people is, number one, welcome. And I am so glad you're here. But number two, why are you here?
Because
no, I want to know their reasoning, because I know it is like, that's the whole theme of the show. But I'm like, I can't grasp why people that don't believe in any of this would want to listen to podcasts about exclusively this. You know what I mean? And so I just want answers. I want to know what is it about us that you were drawn to so that we can get more people like you to tune in.
True.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And so, I mean, it's horrifying for me to think about more people being like, hey, Scott, you're dumb, but it's fine. It's fine. And I'm willing to do it. I want to know what it is. You guys have to tell us. Christian and I literally do not know anything about why people all over the world are listening or whatever. You know, we have no understanding of any of this shit.
Scott speaks for himself. I understand completely why people would listen to me.
Well, that's the Leo talking now. Okay. But yeah, just comment below and comment if whether or not have you ever played with the Ouija board? Do you have any stories of your own that you'd like to send in for Volume 5 or for a freaky listener story episode? Send it in the gang at freakydeaky.com. In the meantime, find us on social media at freakydeakypod. When this episode comes out, I will start posting pictures of the hot sauce. You thought I was lying about it, but it does exist. I have no idea what we're going to do with it.
We're going to put it on food.
Well, for sure that, but like, I was like, it's such a quirky thing that we just made off of a joke. I'm like, should we just do giveaways and just randomly give away this exclusive hot sauce that no one can buy? Or what? You know, I don't know. We'll figure something out. Let us know what you want us to do with the hot sauce. Who cares? Outside of putting it on delicious food, because it is actually really banging hot sauce. It's my favorite hot sauce in the world. And I only have 2 types of hot sauce under my belt, but that's fine. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week. Kristen's going to be talking about
Thunderbirds. Not the airplanes.
Not the airplanes, turns out. That would be a very different podcast.
And don't at me. I know they're not what you typically call an airplane. Okay, flying vehicles that are alien.
Okay, we get it.
You know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Not the TV show either.
Yeah, not the TV show either. And also not a vehicle.
Definitely not a vehicle.
Yeah, definitely not the...
Not in this episode. Maybe another episode we'll talk about them.
Okay, everyone's gone, Christian. It's just us now.
You guys know what a Thunderbird is.
Anyway, yeah, the Thunderbirds. We're doing Thunderbirds. Okay? Are you happy now? Can I go? I'm going to go now. Anyway, we'll see you right back here next week on the Frinkity Dinkity. Fare thee well. Oh, also, before we go, someone commented, actually, it might have been that David dude on YouTube commented that you're slowly becoming his spirit animal. So, and I thought, as soon as he said that, you know, those Jesus is my homeboy shirts that were really popular back in the day? We need to make Christian is my spirit animal and just your face on like big on this t-shirt with the text above and below. So that's going to come out at some point. Hey folks, we did it. We'll see you next time.
I've never been a spirit animal.
That really fell apart there at the end, turns out. My closeout is many times worse.